Peck's participatory reflexive documentary, Exterminate All the Brutes, Killing at a Distance, or How I Thoroughly Enjoyed the Outing, and Turner's expository reflexive documentary, Lynching, Postcards, Token of a Great Day, reframe historical racial terror to visually defame Euro-white supremacy and imperialist corporate capitalism with photographic evidence. Peck's third installment of his docu-series emphasizes dialogue and character as critical elements for visual defamations of Euro-white supremacy. Peck visually imagines a 1904 Euro-white supremacist photo shoot on a rubber plantation in Congo. In this scene, a white photographer directs black enslaved people with an impatient and ostracizing tone to pose for a picture. Meanwhile, the white photographer switches to a pleading, apologetic tone for white man to uncross his irritated arms for a more heroic pose. The dichotomy of the photographer's dialogue with white man and the black enslaved people stands on Euro-white supremacist frameworks of intelligibility, where degradations of blackness construct the superiority of whiteness. Additionally, the clarity of the white photographer's voice, as well as the video quality of the visual imagination, emphasizes the honesty of photographic framing as a powerful agent for constitutive representations of Euro-white supremacy. As Peck snapshots into historical archival footage of that imagined photo shoot, the once acclaimed sepia-tone diluted imagery of white power in the Congos freshly appears as an intentional framing of Euro-white supremacy. Peck paints a disruptive, horrific caricature of whiteness through the bestiality and complacency of his only consistent character across the docuseries, White Man. In Part 3, Peck satirically juxtaposes Billie Holiday's song, The Man I Love, and white man's interaction with a black enslaved woman, distancing white supremacy from its idolized representations in the music entertainment industrial complex. As Holiday sings about a big and strong man to love, white man barges through the cottage door with cuts and blood all over his body, spitting at his items to clean them. As Holiday sings about a man who would greet her with a smile and love, white man refrains from even looking at the black enslaved woman who prepared his bath and cared for his clothes. Peck's fusion of Holiday's song with white man's representation poses him as the antithesis of a man to love, defaming his character and white supremacy at large. Peck subordinates white man's character further once the enslaved black woman peeks out her window to a row of lynched black men and shifts her eyes to white men. The black woman's organic facial change boldens her eyes in rage and resentment towards white man, bolstering an infamous caricature of Euro-white supremacy. Turner's expose documents the repositioning of lynchings and lynching postcards from profitable celebrations to horrific constructions of white supremacy between 1880 and 1968. Throughout Turner's visual series of lynching postcards, mobs of white children and adults gathered around hanging black bodies to proclaim their protection and justice under the Euro-white supremacist rule of law. The letters on the postcards reveal the words of white terrorists who relished in their horrific lynchings as they boasted to their loved ones of their celebratory genocide, the token of a great day for white supremacy. Among all the postcards, large white unmasked communities with no fear of lawful persecution consistently juxtaposed with lynched black bodies, evoking inequitable treatment under the rule of law. The close-up angles of Turner's countless lynching postcards speak to the photographer's diligence and timely work ethic to course through mobs and mobs of thousands of people for the next moneymaker shot. Yet, photographic descriptions and morgue reports omit the responsible racial terrorists, supplementing names with aimless demarcations like taken from death and came to death at the hands of the unknown. Turner's visual display of white carelessness and enjoyment of black genocide slanders the complacency of Euro-white nativist nationalist government and questions the rule of law's role in condemning lynchings as Euro-white supremacist genocide. While Turner's documentary sifts through countless lynching postcards, she highlights the photograph of Will Stanley's hanging body. Turner's Ken Burns technique refocuses the frame from Stanley's scorched body to the surrounding white supremacist audience, smiling and standing in confidence amidst their display of murder. Turner then cuts to the back of a postcard with this photograph, where a white terrorist who lynched Stanley exchanges his joy with his father, claiming Stanley's body as their barbecue for the day. Turner's curated gaze of Stanley's postcard eerily enlivens the nature of sharing joyful experiences with those who miss out on it. In the context of lynching postcards, Euro-white supremacist pride and joy is in the mutilation of blackness. Turner's postcards form static mise-en-scenes of happily attended lynchings, positing the lynched black body as hanging signifiers of white joy. With the interviews of black feminist scholars, Turner's documentary encapsulates imperialist corporate capitalism because black lynching's gruesome allure for white supremacy, postcards as purchasability, and photographers as profit establish a market for lynching postcards. The lynching postcards commodified the joys of white supremacy and supplied genociders' demands, mobilizing the hanging signifier of black mutilation and white joy into a floating celebration of white supremacy. Turner's visual analysis of lynching events in lynching postcards adopts Ida B. Wells's corruption of Euro-white supremacist media, where the focus of lynching events is on Euro-white supremacy and gatherings of white people at lynchings are titled indignant mobs. In reframing lynching postcards with Wells's curatorial gaze, Turner's short documentary re-authenticates black genocide in a post-emancipation context, as well as defames white supremacy's pride and joy, the mutilation of blackness. Peck's film reimagines Euro-white supremacy as it horridly interacts with blackness through character and dialogue to infamize whiteness as an embodiment.